Well, welcome everybody to today's Google Hangout on all about how to triple both your not only your productivity but also your business by using the entrepreneurial trifecta we've been talking about over the past couple days. And this is going to be really like a unique fireside chat. I'm here in my new New York apartment with my fireplace right behind me that does not get used. And then I have Peter here with me. Are you there, Peter?
I'm here, yeah.
And then we have both Alex, who's one of the local Master Academy coaches. Hey, you there, Alex?
Yep, I'm here, Kevin. Good to be here.
Great to have you there, Alex. And Adam, who's been being coach, not by Alex, one of the other amazing coaches we have for the past 7 months. He actually got joined at the local summit back in October of last year. Are you there, Adam?
Yes, I am.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of kind of a debriefing about this entrepreneurial trifecta of coaches, mentors, and masterminds, and why it's critical to have all three of them in your business, and then what is the distinctions between those and how to get the most out of them. And then we'll talk about the glue for entrepreneurial success, which is that weekly coaching, which I've worked with my own coach for the past, I think, 7 or 8 years now. So have learned a lot, and then we're going to really share some of the best tips and lessons learned by all of us on how to have a really strong weekly rhythm and working with a coach, working with your priorities and action items so you have a lot of takeaways moving forward. So let me move my screen here and switch over. We're going to switch over to PowerPoint here for a little bit as I kind of debrief what it means to have these entrepreneurial trifecta. And there you go. You can see my screen. So let me put this into PowerPoint mode. So does that show up okay for you guys?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Awesome.
Yep, that's good.
So we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial trifecta, the success glue, which is what you're doing on a weekly basis to create that weekly rhythm, and then top lessons learned being coached, and then the top lessons learned coaching others. So it's going to be really, this first probably 15 minutes or so is more kind of PowerPoint driven to cover some key concepts, but then the rest of this is going to be really fireside chat style with the four of us sharing the top things we learned. So a book that was a big eye-opener for me that I read like 7 or 8 years ago is called The Talent Code. Greatness Isn't Born, It's Grown. Here's How by Daniel Coe. And he went out and studied those pockets of extreme talent that were created all over the world and really analyzed them over almost a decade to find out what were the key commonalities that created world-class talent when it wasn't present before. And he distinguished it. It came down to 3 different things. The great news is nobody's born with this like ingrained talent to be an internet marketing genius. It's something that's developed over time, and there's a method to how it's developed, which means you can develop it too. So when I got started in online business, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I learned it gradually over time, and that was the same thing with everybody else as well. Adam, who's on here, Peter, like everybody else, we developed it. And what he found that he outlines in that book is there's 3 steps that creates talent in life. So if you want to have highly successful level of talent in being an online entrepreneur or whatever it is, first he found it creates, he calls it ignition, which is that true internal motivation on why you actually want to do this. And having that clarity, because without that high level of internal motivation, every rock or every challenge you're going to come across is going to seem insurmountable. You have to have a bigger reason why. Second is they practice what he calls deep practice. So this is really you're immersed in the world of doing it, and to the point where you feel like you're pushing yourself forward almost to the point of failure. And when you get to that edge of failure, that's where major progress starts happening, where you make massive progress in a short period of time, because you're always kind of moving outside your comfort zone, then expanding that, and then moving outside of it again and expanded it over and over again and again. And the last is master coaching that was present, which is really what we're going to be talking about this in Entrepreneurial Trifecta, because this is an area I see most people are really missing. And if you don't have master coaching, it's extremely difficult to be in the world of deep practice on a regular, consistent basis, because it just is too unnatural, scary, and easier to fall back into old habits. But when you have all three things going, you can develop master talent at a very fast pace, which is what all of us want to do. So Entrepreneur Trifecta is, as an entrepreneur, pretty much any area of your life, you end up being a reflection of the people you're spending the most time with. So the people who are highly successful go out and weave this web of empowerment and accountability around them. And they do it by having coaching, that they're people that we're working with on a regular basis to kind of coach them and bring out the best in them every single week. And then they're masterminding with their peers that are on the same path as well and sharing wisdom on what's working with each other. And then they always have some sort of mentor in their life, or mentors. In my case, I had 3 different mentors when I got started, and I'd definitely not be where I am now if it wasn't for them. And I'll explain the difference between each one of them. But if you don't have all 3 operate at a high level in your entrepreneurial business, you're going to always be coming across challenges. You're not going to move forward as fast as you could. You're not going to reach the potential that you know you have, because you need this web of empowerment and accountability that you wrap around you. So one of the greatest tennis players of all time, Rafael Nadal, he came out with a book that I read a number of years ago that is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's recommended everybody to read it, and it's really more. It's a kind of a biography about him, but even more so, it's a amazing look into what it looks like to be living from a place of constant personal growth. And the major takeaway I came away with that is he deliberately created a web of coaches and masterminds and mentors around him. And if it wasn't for those other people, he would be a fraction of what he is right now. And he talks about how he saw other tennis players that had more talent than him, more natural ability than him. He was not that naturally gifted when it came compared to a lot of other people, but is because of the people he surrounded with him, the coaches that he worked with, the other people that were tennis players that he kind of masterminded with, and then the key mentors that he had that kind of passed their wisdom down to him. If it wasn't for that, he would absolutely not be one of the top tennis players of all time, because he didn't have the natural talent. Instead, he created this web of coaches, the trifecta they were talking about. Another world of basketball. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were talented players, but not very effective as far as what they were able to accomplish until Phil Jackson came along and brought in this trifecta into their lives. And then Phil was the key, the catalyst that brought out the best in them to go on and become 2 of the best basketball players of all time. And Phil Jackson wasn't who he was because he was who he was because he had his own coach and mentor that guided him along the path, which was Tex Winters. And it's just a never-ending thing. As you go down this path, you're eventually end up mentoring other people down the road, just like Peter and myself are able to do. But what most people do when you get into this is you kind of have this ideal, like the rugged individual that has been sold to us over the years and years and years, is the true, like, you need to be self-reliant and go out and blaze a path on your own. And this individualism, which was great in a long time ago to sell cigarettes, but that definitely does not work now, because it goes in complete contrast to what every successful entrepreneur has in their life. They have this trifecta. So let's debrief what the 3 components are, so you know exactly what they bring into your life, so you can powerfully go out and get them yourselves. And then we'll have a fireside chat around one of the most important, which is that weekly coaching. So when you have a coach that you're working with, this is somebody who knows exactly where you want to go. They know that that step one in that talent code that we talked about is like that internal motivation, and make sure that you're always on track to get there, because we have an amazing way of constantly getting off track and making bad decisions and going in the wrong direction. But having somebody who's kind of out of the weeds and can see where you want to go and how to get you there is absolutely critical on a weekly, regular basis. And they make sure that you're always clear on what you really want and how to make that happen, and really bringing that out of you. And then also they create that accountability to another person, like most solo entrepreneurs, really the only accountability they have is to themselves. And that is, when we talked about that on the webinar, is one of the worst accountabilities you can have, because you're accountable to your peers, which ends up being unreliable and fails at the most critical time. So they bring true professional accountability they can always count on week after week. And by not being in the weeds like you are on a regular basis, they can see that bigger picture and help you keep bringing you back to that bigger picture when you're getting off track, because you're so stuck in the day-to-day of monotony of everything that's going on. And they can bring tough love when they need it, or the right message that you need, and they're providing that regular, consistent contact, somebody that's always going to be there week after week after week. And I always look forward to my call with my coach, because I know it's that one thing each week that's going to, no matter what, I'm going to leave with that with a greater level of clarity and confidence and direction on where I'm going than what I went into that call with. So the masterminds is different. This is a group of like-minded people, the peers, that are either at your level or above your level, but they're all going on the same path and have similar style of goals. They want a similar type of business that they're out there to grow and be successful at. And they all come together, support, and collaborate with each other. These are people that you can count on and trust on to collaborate with and share ideas with. And you can network together to share resources or new ideas, or when a problem comes up, you have other people to bounce ideas off with that might have already solved that problem, that they pass on that knowledge and wisdom with. And you get to tap into the collective knowledge and experience and wisdom and support and ideas and resources and everything that the group has, which is going to be dramatically greater than any one individual would have. So when you come together and mastermind together, you get the benefit of everybody rather than just your own unique experience and knowledge, and you get the benefit of helping others, and they help you as well. So you get that group collaboration, support, and synergy that comes together when you mastermind. And the last one is mentors, and this is somebody who's already gone down that path that you're on, and they went out and accomplished the things that you want to go out and accomplish yourself. And they've been there, they've done that, they mastered it, and it's just second nature to them. But they have this passion to help others get there too, and have an invested interest that you get to where you want to go, that you get to go down that pathway and see the same results. And because they've been down it, and they put in the 10,000 plus hours, and now they have mastered it, and it is second nature, they have true wisdom that only comes from going out and doing that, which is not, and is extremely different than just information or knowledge that they have. True, practical wisdom of doing it. And when you talk to somebody that's done that, what they can condense down into a short amount of things for you to go do is light years ahead of just going out and studying books or watching courses or anything else like that. And they're going to know the things, the roadblocks and the challenges that are going to be on that path you're going to go down, and they can help you skip them or move past them easy before they even come up, because they know what's going to lie ahead of you. And you get to tap into all the resources they have and their contacts and their network. You get to bounce ideas off of them. They get to share strategies and really deliver a lot of inspiration for you as well. So when you have all three of these working together in unison, it is extremely just life-changing level of access that you have to creating a much more successful business in life and getting to where you want to go faster and easier and a much higher level. But the glue that really holds it all together is that weekly coaching. And people that have that really move forward faster than the ones that don't. And that's what we want to really share with everybody today, is kind of the top lessons learned from being coached, and what does that look like, and what has really made the most impact. And then the person that's doing the coaching has worked with a tremendous number of entrepreneurs, and what are the most successful things that the people get the most out of that do. So let's see a little kind of PowerPoint aspect of this. So let's get into a little fireside chat around the world of coaching, and I can turn myself off there. So Peter, maybe you can introduce us to, I think we're going to talk to Adam first, is that right?
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit of background, and Adam's going to tell us kind of how we got started. But we asked Adam to be on here because he actually connected with my company and our accountability coaching service way back when LMA was just an idea, or a bit even before it was really an idea, when I came out and spoke at the conference at your local marketing summit. So Adam, I wanted to ask you, first of all, where you were at in business and kind of in mindset back in October last year, when you were you actually at the conference, or did you attend the live stream?
Yeah, so I was at the local marketing summit in, I guess it was October anyway.
Yeah, in Phoenix.
Heard you speak there, and on the 4 pillars and different stuff along those lines. And they say at the summit or whatever, like, take those 1 or 2 ideas and don't try to do everything, but just take the 1 or 2 things. And that presentation to me was probably more powerful than anything else I saw, because I saw a lot of where I was stumbling in it relative to accountability and getting into a position to where you got all these ideas and all these different things that you want to implement, but 95% of it just kind of falls by the wayside anyway. And so I came back and signed up for your program anyway with Commit Action, and I've been doing that since I want to say mid-October here anyway.
Yeah. So it's been about 7 months now. So what would you say, you've been working with an accountability coach, somebody who's an expert on productivity, and your coach couldn't be here today, Taylor, but we have his, we're going to talk to his supervisor, actually, another one of our coaches, Alex, later on. But I wanted to ask you, what would you say has like shifted for you, and what have you kind of learned about yourself in the last 7 months of meeting with an accountability coach every week who's helping you set goals and clarify all of that?
Well, I think the biggest shift so far has been just getting, first of all, like, setting aside all the stuff that really isn't mission critical. I think that's been a big thing, because I think there was a minute there where I was becoming a professional wheel spinner a little, and I've been in the local marketing space now for about 3 years. I've done pretty well with it, kind of grown to a certain point, and got kind of tapped out in terms of, because I'm trying to do more of the work on my own than I really should be doing anyway. But I would say, probably the biggest thing is getting very, very specific on, those 3 outcomes that I'm looking to achieve. And I, what I used to do is I'd sit and mind map out everything I wanted to do for the week, and it'd be this big elaborate bubble list or whatever, and I'd be able to accomplish, I don't know, maybe like 20% of it, and then I'm working, all weekend long to try to knock out more and more stuff, and there's never a set, time to quit, and I always had this feeling like I'm just not getting enough done because I'm not achieving my outcome. So probably more than anything, what I've worked with Taylor and what's been really instrumental is picking those three actions that I'm going to focus on, and putting all the other stuff. If I may have 20 things that I want to do and accomplish, but it's really just getting it down to those basic three, and then putting everything else aside, and candidly feeling good about the ride, and being able to have sort of an off switch, because I pretty much work from home, and so it's really easy to be in the office, whenever, my work-life balance was just all sorts of screwed up, and so that's, it's nice to be able to finally just shut it off and say, all right, look, those three major outcomes, I nailed them, I'm done, and I get to go enjoy the weekend now, and not feel like I'm under this constant pressure to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that was huge.
That's awesome. I think a lot of people in this space have trouble knowing that they've done enough, even if they're not even working that effective, but they could just throw hours and hours and hours of being at that desk at the problem and try and make that something that they feel good about. So sounds like you've figured out how to really get prioritization going on. So tell us a little bit about how business is looking now, and how the future looks. You're 7 months into weekly accountability coaching. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of how business looks now, there's been a couple, pretty monumental things that have happened. For one, I mean, where my revenue was at back in October relative to where we're at now, we've increased the business by a good 55-60%, right in that ballpark.
Really, that's incredible.
Yeah, so and that's been really, really important, because I've needed to create some additional. I've needed to hire people, quite frankly, on specific things that either I don't like doing, or quite frankly I just really shouldn't be focused on in my business. And so it's really kind of created the capitalization to get into a position where, okay, I'm gonna start spending less time dealing with the front end of say client acquisition and that sort of thing, and so I've now got a couple employees that I'm working with, and we're pushing that down the line. And so that, I mean, in terms of raw dollars and cents, that's been that's probably the easiest to measure, but I think at the end of the day too, it's like I feel like I've got better control about what's happening in my business, and I'm finding I'm not overtasking, because we get real specific on not just the like before I'd set a goal and it's like, all right, I need to close 2 clients this week, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, one of the things that you teach is you can't, if you're going to set a goal, you're going to set an outcome. It can't be relying on other people to, for that outcome to be able to happen. So it's really all about, what you can control and following that sort of process. So now, instead of setting goals around, I got to generate this many sales and this much revenue, it's really about the metrics. All right, so we're going to send out 150 emails. We're going to make 150 outbound follow-up calls throughout the week, and it's a specific metric that ultimately leads to the outcomes happening. And again, it's really nice, because when I get done with however many calls I got to make that day, or whatever specific widget it is that I need to produce on that day, I can shut it off and feel good about just vegging out in front of the TV with my kids or something. And so that's been getting down into the details a little bit, I guess that's also been really huge.
That's incredible to hear it, and it sounds like you've just kind of got to a place of thinking about a whole bigger game with the business, which is really cool to hear. And people who are watching this, who have been on our webinar this week, will hear mixed into some of the things Adam's saying is a lot of giveaways of the different pillars that our work is all focused on creating in our clients' lives and in their businesses. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you jumping on today and chatting with us about this. Kevin, is there anything that you want to ask Adam? Anything that we should talk about here?
Well, I think it's great to hear that not only have you been able to increase your income over these past 7 months. I mean, having that level of increase in business is phenomenal. It really hats off to you. But you've also increased your own personal freedom and enjoyment. Like you got your weekends back, you got your like probably weekly like sanity back because you're not constantly like overwhelmed on all the stuff that you feel like you have to do. You instead have clarity on what you really want to do, and you get to like create wins week after week instead of, I think, like you said before, at the end of the week you felt like you only got 20% done, and that's like I know for me that'd be demoralizing if that was my week. So it's really great to hear not only the tangible outcomes, but these intangibles as well.
Yeah, I think the intangibles are, what I mean. I think it's hard as an entrepreneur, especially if you're a local marketer and you're working out of your basement or whatever else. It's you got to stay motivated day after day after day, and there's not anybody there to do that for you. So it's real easy to get caught up in whatever shiny object is coming along or whatever else as a put off for actually tackling the major things that are going to move your business forward. And I think on some level we're all kind of in this because we want to have a lifestyle that we create and choose, and as opposed to a job with a crazy CEO that never gives you a day off. And so it's moving from that, having the job with the crazy CEO to actually starting to take the helm of a business, and that's it's been huge, and it's good having that coach that the accountability coach that kind of understands that, and he keeps me from going down the wrong path sometime, because it's like I'll come up with something that I think is an objective. He's like, okay, well for the last 2 weeks we were working on this. Now it seems like you're shifting gears a little bit, and he slaps me around a little bit. Just kind of like let's get you back on on the right course, because I mean without that there, I would have just slipped and started off on some little tangent, and then you lose the effectiveness of your momentum and everything else that you're working on. So I've been really, really impressed with the Commit Action program, and I think, Peter, you're definitely I still am to some level, but less of the over-optimized entrepreneur, and more just being able to work on the business, and that's been the biggest piece, I think, of all of it.
That's awesome, man. Very cool.
A quick question, I'm curious. You're definitely in that second phase. You have a full-time income. Now you're focused on the things to take that to the next level, like hiring people and creating more systems and processes. But if you look back when you were getting started in those like earlier phases, when you're like hustling to get the business off the ground, get clients, and just figure it all out, would having something like this have moved you through that early phase faster and easier?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the early stages of this, I was involved in a mastermind program and different things, and that was really huge, honestly, because you do need somebody who's kind of been through things before and can really explain stuff as you go, and kind of keep you accountable that way. But there's still not somebody in effect holding your hand and saying, look, these are the 3 things that you're going to accomplish this week, or I mean, really mapping that out and holding you accountable, and I think that's important too, because when you're first starting out, you've got the newness of the business and the opportunity that kind of keeps you motivated. But when you hit that 6-figure income or whatever, right, in your first year, then all of a sudden that seems to be the goal that everybody else sets for you. But now it's really like, okay, now I've actually got a business here. What do I want to do with it, and what do I want to really make it go for? And I think that honestly, having somebody sit down every week and make it all about, all right, how many calls did you make, how many this, how specifically getting with those metrics, if that's obviously one of your outcomes. And if you're just starting out, I would say that that's got to be, it's all about how many people you're actually prospective clients that you're talking with every single week. So I think I could have done things a lot quicker that way. But one thing that I definitely would have avoided was that after hitting that outcome is just kind of I rode for a while because I'm kind of like, oh, great, I've got the revenue coming in now, so now I just need to really focus on doing all this amazing stuff for clients, and the business will kind of grow itself. And I had this lull there for a while, and I think it would have also been really beneficial to be looking at this thing a little bit more strategically, as opposed to just replacing my income from what I was doing before, and really starting to pattern the business in relative to where it was that I wanted to take it. So I know that I did personally a lot of floundering around, after kind of that initial startup to throw up phase anyway, but have kind of stayed in the throw up phase, and now I'm really starting to hit that that grow up thing, and so having accountability throughout that entire process would have made that transition a lot quicker. Because you also realize too, is you're holding accountable to a specific thing, that you're measuring the outcome too of what it is that you're doing every single week, and it's causing you to put focus back on that, and I think that's huge, because if you're not measuring it, then you're not seeing that incremental progress, and it weighs in on your mental and emotional, on your motivation, for lack of a better way of putting it. So I definitely think that I would have gotten to where I wanted to get quicker, but more importantly kept that going longer and more sustainable. If I would have had that weekly check-in to say, okay, man, are we moving this thing down the road? Because Peter's program is really all about those. I mean, it's really about taking massive action, just bottom line, and keeping that action going is just so critical. So wish I would have ran into him years ago, honestly, but hey, but here we are now.
Kind of you to say it, and I appreciate it. Cool. What do you think, Kevin? Anything else? Adam's just blowing me away with kind words and flattery, so I'm like, I know right now.
Yeah, it's I can definitely relate to reaching that plateau. That's what happens to almost every local marketer I know, is once they reach to that level of comfort, they just plateau out, because they don't have that outside perspective to kind of power you through that and point out that that's what's happening. So I'd love to hear from Alex. He's been really listening along and agreeing to, he's probably a proud coach right now of all the great. Adam's has really learned what he should be doing, is really embodying it in what he's saying.
Yeah, I just made a note to send over somebody to Taylor for doing such a good job. I mean, Adam, if you're looking for a little side gig here, I mean, I think you have the program down. Probably use you over here.
I might be interested. You just let's talk later.
No, but I think he touched on a lot of the major points and a lot of the impact and a lot of the changes. I think it's not just changing the overall, I think your goals, it's really your overall outlook and how you see your weekend, really working towards that. What he really honed in on was you want to feel every day that you put in the right amount of work. You want to feel at the end of the week, you want to be proud of where you stand and not be thinking during family time or during your nighttime Netflix binge that you didn't do enough work that day. That's really what a point I took away from what he was saying, is honing in on those three actions and really knowing the clarity and the specificity behind what you want to accomplish that week allows you to really feel like you achieved something and builds in that guilt-free personal time. You go into your personal time with a clear head, disconnected from business. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that away, but that was the one point I didn't want to forget.
Yeah, I think that's a really huge point that we probably don't talk about enough, which is that this idea that entrepreneurs don't know how to shut off and can just throw so much time that we did mention this on the webinar we did earlier in the week, Kevin, that that for some people who are achieving who are getting started, their number one goal is freedom. That's why they start these businesses. And then very rapidly, once they get up and running, or even just as they're beginning and they're really hustling hard, they lose all sense of freedom in their life because suddenly they're throwing just endless hours that aren't necessarily the most effective or focused at the business, and just it's eating up all of their time and really, creating a life that's the opposite of they want of the one that they want. And so, yeah, what Alex and his coaching team do is, help people get their priorities straight so they can hit what's important and then move on. So, Alex, I'm stoked that you're on here. This is actually one of the first times I've had a commit action coach jump on a public interaction ever. So we wanted to ask, from your point of view, we wanted to see what you think, what you see in entrepreneurs that sort of, as you check in with them every single week, like what are the types of changes and stuff that you see in those people, in the various folks checking in that you're speaking to every week as an accountability coach?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest changes happens right off the bat, right on the first call. A lot of entrepreneurs, when they first start with us, they have really huge, really far away dreams. Dreams like 10 or 50 times more money than they are currently making. So one of the first changes is you start to work towards major milestones. And these major milestones are still more big picture goals, but with a lot more clarity. So these entrepreneurs, they start to see making 10 or 50 times more money as achieving certain things within their business rather than just reaching a monetary plateau. To give you an example, so instead of saying, I want to make $50,000 this year, I see $50,000 as a lead generation funnel, doing X amount of reach outs like Adam touched on, or having systems in place so I can hire out employees. These are things that I see as major milestones. These are all things that would be huge improvements in the business, and that would have a really big impact and feel great to achieve. And I think right off the bat in the first call, and they see their goals go from, I want to be making $50,000 a year on top of what I am now, to I need to achieve these certain things to give myself the best opportunity. Times, and only about that certain monetary number or other huge unspecific dream goals, it paralyzes them in taking that action from a week-to-week basis. So just by getting clarity of the major milestones and what specifically will give them the best opportunity to reach their dream goal, it will get them moving almost immediately.
Yeah, cool.
Adam touched on this as well. Once that clarity is in place, it becomes really easy to set these clear weekly commitments that keep them on track. And together with the coach, we track them and monitor those commitments. And like he was saying, we hold you accountable to making sure you're on the right path to those major milestones.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah. And so what do you think, how do you think people should be approaching the calls? For people who are thinking about jumping in on this, joining the local Mastery Academy and getting an accountability coach, getting access to all of these other things Kevin's talking about, how do you think that they should be coming to the call to get the absolute most out of it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best things that I've learned from you, and what I tell all the people I work with, is be grateful about the past, but always stay ambitious about the future. So that's one of the key things, is no matter what happened the week before, always coming back to the next call with him. The clients that tend to get the best results are those who are using accountability coaching for its purpose, accountability. These are the people that come to the call with an idea of what they want to do, and then with their coach, they hone that idea into specific deliverables for that week. Like Adam touched on, X amount of reach outs, having certain things in place that week, working on very specific goal-oriented things each. And the best clients, the one that get the most out of the program, make the commitment right there and then with their coach to get those deliverables done. They know that they have to do the work, they have to make the magic happen, but they also realize that having someone there, having someone to report into on the other end of the line, holding them accountable and kind of crystallizing the plan for the week is essential to moving the ball forward. And I think the one thing that I love what Adam said, and that I need to give Taylor a big pat on the back, is really taking that mess, like you said, that's in your head, all that clutter of all the things that are on your plate, and really pulling out those three meaningful ones that are going to give you the most satisfaction. When you get done, you're going to be extremely happy with the progress you made that week. And I think that's really important that you have that sense of accomplishment each week, because it builds that momentum. You hit streaks, and momentum is a very powerful byproduct of taking consistent action. So I don't know if I touched on your question there. I kind of went off on a tangent, but I think the people that get the most out of it use accountability coaching for the accountability. They make the commitment to their coach and, more importantly, to themselves to deliver on those 3 actions each week.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, you nailed it. And so last but not least, because you worked with entrepreneurs from literally every walk of life, every different industry. You've seen it all. You manage a team of coaches who are doing the same with hundreds of different clients. So what kind of, in your opinion, what kind of person is going to be, what kind of person is this type of accountability coaching going to be the most effective for?
That's a really good question, because I know that Kevin touched on this. There's a bunch of different, I guess, categories or kind of tiers that people fall into within the LMA program. And I know the first one he mentioned was kind of the hustlers. I like to call them grinders. They're kind of grinding out to get their first client and really, really trying to start to take consistent action. The key word there is consistency. And that's, I mean, one of the things we strive at, so that's always a plus. And the next kind of one is the going full-time. And I think this is where Adam is right now. He's in that full-time section, where this is, for example, this could be where you can getting the processes in place. You're starting to look for hiring people, that utility player, I think Kevin calls it. And this is a really good stage to get to, because it allows you to start building that freedom that you initially wanted. And then the last kind of group that we see, and these are just 3 major categories. There's all kinds of in-betweens as well, but the third major category that we see are the people that are really building a team, scaling the business, working on, I guess, building kind of that freedom that overall was a goal to begin with. And what CA is most effective at, and one of the things that we train all of our coaches at, is really, really pinpointing where they are in the process and then knowing what the most important thing to work on. So if you're in the first stage, we're not going to worry about hiring. We're grinding. We're grinding. We're trying to get that first client. We're trying to get you to do a certain amount of reach outs. We want to make sure you're building in that consistency. We're not worried about that utility player yet. When we get to the utility stage, we're not worried really about scaling and going light years ahead. Let's get one person in place. Let's get one person in place and move from there. And the same with the last goal. We don't want you working in the business anymore. We want you to be handing it over to the people you put in place, to the team you built. And what Commit Action I think is best at is helping transition between stage to stage and really making sure that you don't get complacent. Okay, you got your first client. We know you're happy with it. Let's get 3 or 4. Let's build up to 10. Let's hit that 10 mark so you can start putting people in place. So I think that's the people that, so my answer is everyone, I guess. You're going to fall into a lot of categories, but we really train the coaches on knowing where you stand within it and then knowing how to move you forward.
Right on. Awesome, dude. Kevin, do you have anything else you want to pick from Alex's brain before we move on?
But both Adam touched on it and you touched on it, is the thing that you really help or empower people with is get clear on the 3 most important things. There's a lot of things that you might be doing or want to do, but do you find most people when they show up in the beginning, they might have heard that concept of figuring out like what's most important and then focus on that, but how do the distinction of those that when they get started versus those that really have a dial in, how's it different?
Yeah, it's a good question, and a lot of times you can tell when we get to, even right off the start, the first thing we do is set those major milestones. And if they really don't have the clarity around what specific things they need to accomplish to reach those dream goals, you can tell that they've been spinning their wheels and kind of chasing the shiny objects because their only, I guess, motivator is the monetary goals. That's the only thing they're looking to achieve. But if you get someone on the call, they know exactly what's first. They need to do this amount of reach outs. They need to hit a certain amount of, I guess, business calls that week. You know that basically what you have to do is just really make that specifically geared towards a certain milestone and really, I guess, a tangible result for the week. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Peter. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say, I think it's worth mentioning that, with everything that we do, both with our business, Commit Action, that we've talked about a couple of times, and especially with the local Mastery Academy, we're providing, in addition to the accountability, so much more when it comes to mentorship, masterminds, that type of stuff, to give people the tactical advice they need if they're in that lost place, because we definitely get people who are at that stage where they've been chasing different bright, shiny objects for so long, they really don't know what they need to be focusing on to get started. And so, whether or not you're a seasoned veteran or you're somebody who's in that position, we're going to be able to get you the tactical kind of support that you need in addition to the accountability from Alex and the coaches every week.
Exactly, because we recognize it's kind of that subconscious need to feel like you accomplished something. And that's why a lot of people chase the shiny objects, even though it's not something that may be the most important to work on. They want to feel like they put in a good work day. So they will chase something shiny. I completed these 5 tasks a day. It got them nowhere farther along in their business, but they feel accomplished because they got something done. So what we're really specialized in is, okay, that's probably a shiny object. That's not something that's even urgent this week. So let's focus on what's important. What's going to get you closer to your major milestones and away from kind of spinning your wheels towards those things just so you feel like you're accomplished. And that's what I want to go back with what I said when I first started talking. We're grateful about the past, ambitious about the future. The one thing that we really try to do is build momentum. And not every week we realize it's not going to be a 3 for 3, but we always want to put in the effort to hit a 3 for 3. And I say we because I'm invested. I know what all my clients are doing. I'm invested in what they're doing. So I get back, I was like, all right, what do we do this week? So I act like I was helping. But that's one thing. You hit a 2 out of 3. Let's take the positives out. This is what you worked well on. This is where you made maximum effort. This is what we could have done a little bit better. Let's stay ambitious. Let's not tone back the goals just because you hit a 2. Let's keep pushing to hit those goals. And I think that's where avoiding the shiny object and still having that sense of accomplishment comes into play.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you for jumping on board today. I know that you were a little bit freaked out when I said we were going to do a live Google Hangout in front of a ton of different people. Alex is normally just on the phone working one-on-one with people, which is something that a skill set he goes real deep on. He's an expert at it, and has, at this point, I think, clocked like 10,000 hours of accountability coaching calls or more. But this was a first, so thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you did an amazing job, Alex. That was awesome.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Kevin. So what's next?
Well, to kind of add to what Alex was saying, this is really if you're in that initial phase of you're still hustling or you're still trying to figure it out and just get started, and you felt like you've always been trying to get started for who knows how long, or you've been always trying to hustle, this is really the off-ramp to get out of that. And it's really tough to get out of that phase once you're kind of stuck in it if you don't have somebody else like an Alex or one of the other coaches to really know exactly what needs to happen to get you out that, and you get the same level of feel good like you're accomplishing, but you're actually accomplishing the most important things. Or the next kind of level is people that are having success and they've either plateaued out and they don't know how to get off that plateau to the next thing. Adam talked about a little bit about that. Or what tends to happen is you have one priority and you start going down that, and then you get distracted by something else that looks good, and you chase that for a little while and completely forget about the other priority. And I see people that reach that kind of 10,000 level. This happens all the time to them, and it keeps them stuck in their plateau, or worse yet, to go backwards, because you're operating within a vacuum where it's just you trying to analyze everything with yourself and your brain, and you don't have that network of that weekly coach that you're meeting with to keep you on track, and your mastermind group and a mentor to make sure that you're really operating at your highest self. So that's a couple of the reasons why we put together Local Mastery Academy. Let me, which I'll do a quick recap for those of you that were on the webinar. This will be a bit of review. Some of you, this might be new, of what you get when you're a member of the Local Mastery Academy. And let me switch this to screen share again. There we go. So there's 3 components that you get. One is that weekly accountability coach that you're working with that's highly invested in you getting the results that you're looking for and knows exactly how to guide you down that path so you are hitting the milestones that you set out. You're reaching those wins every single week, and you're really accomplishing what you want to accomplish on a weekly, week in, week out basis while creating more freedom in your life. So it's not about being able to like work more and accomplish more at the sake of freedom in your time. It's actually being able to accomplish more while creating more freedom at the same time, like Adam talked about. Next is being able to mastermind with your peers. So you have those other people that you're collaborating with on a regular, ongoing basis, and you get to have me as your mentor, who is somebody who's been down this path. I've helped probably more people than anybody else in this space become successful in this path as well, being a successful local marketer. And I've been an online entrepreneur since 1996, so I've had seen and done it all. So whatever business that you're in, I've probably have experience to some level or another in that business that I can really mentor you on getting to where you want to go as well. So on the weekly accountability coaching, maybe Peter, you can give a kind of quick overview of what this looks like.
Yeah, so the first thing is we have these 4 pillars, and if you want to find out what these are, I suggest it's still possible for people to check out the recording of the webinar, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Oh, we just jumped back to your desktop, by the way. So we're going to build these 4 pillars in your psychology and in your business for you overnight with the weekly accountability coaching. And these concepts are basically the unfair advantages that we've observed in the top 1% of entrepreneurs. They're psychological kind of factors that help these people get ahead and stay ahead. We're going to basically create them for you, and you'll feel the results of that right away. The way this happens is that we build this weekly ritual in your life of doing this powerful short phone call with a coach just like Alex or somebody who's on Alex's team. Like Adam works with a guy called Taylor that he mentioned. These coaches are going to help you clarify, set, and commit to your most important actions every week. So they're going to walk you through a range of different psychometric variables that's kind of going on in the back end. To you, it's going to be a conversation where they're going to talk to you about what you're focusing on and what your big priorities are, your long-term goals, and help you hone in on what the next 7 days needs to include for you to be picking up the ball and moving it forward really, really powerfully. And in addition to that, we have our Action Mastery dashboard, which is where we track and measure your weekly productivity so that we're actually measuring meta productivity itself, keeping track of how committed you are to the things that you're setting each week and building a great sense of progress and momentum as you start to build some really cool streaks of effectiveness.
Hey, Kevin, Peter, I don't mean to cut you off, but Kevin, if you frame your thing down in the bottom, we'll be able to see what Peter is talking about while he talks over that. Just FYI.
I thought I did that.
There you go.
I thought I had it locked. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you have to. We're back to your desktop now anyway.
How about now? Can you talk, Peter?
Yeah, we're still just on the desktop.
Okay.
But
there we go.
All good. Yeah,
okay.
We can see your screen. So.
Well, it's locked on my screen now. There we go.
Yeah, cool. So I was just saying the dashboard. And then just to talk a little bit about the coach's background really quickly. So these guys, you've got a sense from hearing from Alex, these guys are specialists who are dedicated to destroying self-sabotage and ending procrastination. You can think of them a little bit like a personal trainer for your productivity. They're also selected from a whole battery of psychological tests and profiles to be the absolute perfect fit for this. And every single one of them is somebody who's mastered the 5 pillars of productivity in their own life. They've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of experience and training. As I mentioned before, they're leveraging over 7 different psychometric variables for you. Everything that we do is actually based on empirical brain science. We work with some neuroscientists at Harvard, a bunch of clinical psychologists on our advisory board. So this stuff isn't just made up, this coaching methodology that we walk you through. It's really proven to get results. And they've worked, I think the best part is they've worked with entrepreneurs from just every industry, and they've gotten every single one of them accelerating no matter what obstacles they face. So we take from those people who work for my company, we take the very best of them and give them extra training in local marketing. And those guys are then selected to work with the clients of the local Mastery Academy, which we're talking about here today. So they're kind of the best of the best, and those are the people who you're going to work with if you join us.
Then the next thing that you get as part of a local Mastery Academy is masterminding with your peers. So this is, I bring, one, you get myself, and then I bring some of the top people in our industry coming together on a bi-weekly basis. And these bi-weekly sessions, mastermind sessions, are really custom tailored for what I think is going to bring the most value to you. And what I do is, one of them I'm going to get on there, I'm going to share the things that's working in my own agency and pull out the best stuff that we're doing so you can use as well. So one of the sessions I got on there and I shared exactly what we're doing with Facebook advertising to get new clients. Or when we went to our first trade show, I walked through exactly what we did leading up to, before, at, and after our trade show. We're doing direct mail right now, so one of our upcoming sessions is going to walk through like our direct mail approach and how we're doing that. So you get this is the only the place I feel I'm going to be sharing the most trusted, valuable secrets for my agency, just for local mastery members, because now you're part of our mastermind group and community. And I bring on other people that have other highly successful agencies that are in the community as well, and they're going to be sharing some of the best things that they've found to work for them as well. And on here, it's a live, interactive conversation that we have. So if there's something that you have going on, so the first half is kind of sharing some wisdom from our own agencies and passing it on to the rest of the group. And then the second half of our mastermind is you get to bring something that, like a challenge or a roadblock or maybe a big opportunity that you're working on, and get advice and feedback both from myself and the other members. So this is a place to constantly be tapping into the collective wisdom of our community that we have here and being able to tap into the power of a mastermind. And the third is mentorship. You get to have me as your mentor. So moving forward, once a quarter, we're going to get on a mentoring, like a one-on-one mentoring session, where if you're in the early phases, we're going to really map out your game plan based on the path that you're following. What should you be doing? Or if you're more advanced, we might be getting on and fine-tuning your business strategy or checking in on the progress that you've made. Or maybe you use these sessions, there's something major that you're working on and you really want to get really in-depth feedback on a big opportunity that you're trying to close or make happen, or a major challenge that you've come across. And if you were to hire me directly, it'd be $1,000 per session, or it's $2,500 a month to work with me personally as your own personal coach and advisor. So this is a tremendous value that you get to make sure as you move down this that you have that ultimate high level of wisdom and mentorship to make sure that you're being guided down the right path, that you're doing the right things, you're not getting sidetracked or anything like that. So you get the mentorship with me one-on-one on an ongoing basis, as long as you're part of the tribe that we have here. And then as a bonus, you get to have the complimentary membership to our Lima Silver Plus. It's our monthly newsletter and audio CD, where it keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of local marketing. Plus, I go out there and interview somebody that's highly successful to have them share over the course of an hour exactly how they got to where they are right now and the best lessons learned. And then you get access to all of our past training, all of our marketing operations resources. Every month we create a done-for-you client newsletter that you can rebrand and white label to your own business or agency and email it out, mail it out, or however you want to send it to, or post it on your website. And it's a great newsletter to stay in touch with your clients and prospects. And then you get a new niche report where we analyze one of the high-value niches, a new niche every single month, and we go in depth on all the information you need to know about that new high-value niche. So if you're looking for another niche to tap into, these monthly niche reports are extremely valuable because it's going to uncover new niches that you never knew even existed out there and give you all the resources that you need. So how much to be a part of the local Mastery Academy? Our last coaching program, it was literally $16,000 for 8 months of coaching, so about $2,000 a month. If you work with Peter, I believe his monthly rate is $2,000. I have a program where I work one-on-one with select a special group of people. It's $2,500 a month plus a percentage of the increased revenue. But to be a member of the local Mastery, after this webinar, the ongoing rate is $4.99 a month. But because you're a part of this founding member group and you get to sign up before we close out this week, it's not $4.99. You're going to have a huge savings because you're a part of the founding member group. And you get this at www.localmasteryacademy.com/go. So you're going to save $300. It's like more than half off, significantly more than half off, so of only $199 a month. So this is an amazing value that you get to get the weekly coaching, that glue that really powerfully moves you forward. The masterminding with your peers, the advanced knowledge and wisdom and ideas that you can bring into your business when it makes sense, and then being mentored by me. So this is something that you definitely want to lock in now. This is going to close out here. This is the last thing that we're doing. Then we're going to close out. Then there's a lot. We opened this up once before, and it was I think 3 or 4 months ago. And you don't want to wait another 3 or 4 months to go by and you experience exactly what you've experienced up until now for the next quarter. And you sign it at the end of the quarter. You're now at the same place that you are right now. But then you have to pay the normal rate of $4.99 to get the same impact. So now's the time to join at localmasteryacademy.com/go. Lock in the savings and start experiencing the benefits right from day one. Your very first call, you're going to start having a tremendous level of greater clarity and confidence and direction on where you're going, and it's only going to improve week after week after week. But there's absolutely limited coaches because, one, you're working with the best and you're working one-on-one with them, so there's only a limited amount of spots left. We're going to be closing this out here really soon. So if this feels right to you, then take that next step, join us, and the great news is you get to try it out for these next 30 days. Use it. Really start seeing the results for yourself. And at any point from this point forward, if you feel it's not the right fit for you, you're not locked into any long-term contract. You can cancel at any time, not owe anything more. So there's really no reason to get started right now and really see the results for yourself. And just like Adam's talked about, Alex has talked about what the process looks like and how it can really create a profound impact in your business from that first call and every call moving forward as well. So what's going to happen is when you go to localmasteryacademy.com/go, you're going to sign up, and then you're going to get an orientation. Maybe Peter, you can kind of talk to them what happens right after they sign up, leading up to getting scheduled and working with their coach.
Yeah, sure. So you'll get an email from us, from my kind of company and my system. It'll come through and send you through to an orientation page where you can check out everything and learn about the methodology behind the calls, and just basically find your way around at the back end of our membership site. You're going to then fill out an induction questionnaire, and this is going to equip your coach with everything that the coach needs to know to make even that first session massively count. This is going to help us save a ton of time on the call and get you started really powerfully. And right after that, you're going to schedule your first call online. We have a range of calls available to suit people in almost every, well, actually not almost, in every time zone around the world. And you'll just be able to point and click for the one that you want and sign up, and then you'll have it locked in. You'll be ready to go, and your phone will dial out to you at that time and on that date. Your coach will dial out to you at that time and on that date. To landlines in most countries, in the US and Canada, we call out to cell phones even, because this is accountability that just comes straight to you. And if you have problems with either of any of that, we can always get you on Skype as well. So yeah, that's the process to basically get started. It's super easy to get set up, and you get results right from that first call. You're going to start having more clarity and feeling great about what you're doing.
So if you have any questions, it's a little bit different since we're on a live Google Hangout. You can type it into the comment box there on the YouTube stream, and we can take any of those questions. There's tends to be about a 15 to 30 second delay here, so you might be a little bit before we see those questions. But some of the kind of questions that we saw people have asked in the past is, one, we've talked about local marketing predominantly up until now because that's what I do, that's what I teach. But there's a lot of people that follow us on this, that's viewing this right now, that your business isn't necessarily like a local marketing agency type of business, and wondering, is this going to work for you? And I think, Peter, you've mentioned it before, is like not only Alex, but every one of your coaches has worked with tremendous breadth of industries. So
right. Yeah, so they've got experience in almost in every space, and the reality is that these guys are dedicated productivity experts. That's where they go deep in, and it's a skill set, it's a meta skill set that can be applied to any industry. You know, I don't care if you're in clown college trying to figure out the very best way to build a business all about throwing pies in people's faces. We're going to help you do it more effectively with less overwhelm. We're going to apply this methodology, this psychological methodology we have to whatever it is that you're doing. So yeah, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, we're ready.
All right, well, let me exit out of this, and then I'll come back there. So is there, before we wrap it up, any kind of like final words, like Peter, you'd like to leave anybody with, and see if there's so like things that you found, the people that really get phenomenal results, like what really separates them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that the big reason why Kevin and I kind of connected over the idea of bringing what we've been doing with our accountability coaching at Commit Action to local marketing and creating the Local Mastery Academy is this idea that you don't need to do it alone. And I think that, you know, we touched on this really briefly in the webinar. The internet is empowering, you know, everybody. I think everybody here is kind of connected to this in some level, in some way. It's empowering us to start these businesses. As Adam said, he's working from home. It's empowering us to start businesses on our laptops so we can travel the world. It's very, very different from anything that's ever happened before. It's very different that in the millions and millions of years humans have been around than anything we've ever contemplated doing before. And to put it simply, we're not ready for it. Our brains kind of naturally, if left to their own devices, aren't designed to thrive in an environment of working on a laptop in your basement. And so we're not used to that level of isolation that entrepreneurship can bring, particularly in the online space. And so I think that people who realize that, you said this great thing, that this is the off-ramp for that earlier. I love that saying, because I think that you can really feel trapped kind of going round and round in circles in isolation. And what we've really built, you know, is the off-ramp to that. It's the way to get out of it. The thing that inspires me is the fact that I read this study. It was a really big deal. It was, you know, the U.S. government was behind a part of it, and some big research firms that said that by 2020, 40% of the working population of the United States will be freelancers. And to me, that blows my mind. And I think that the number of online entrepreneurs is on the rise as well. It's the internet, the technology, the revolution that has caused this, but we're not ready for it. And so we've built this. We've created this whole suite of services and stuff that you get access to become this safety net, this web of accountability and support, mentorship, and coaching, that holds you up and has you succeed despite the fact that you're doing this thing that, for the most part, humans have never done before. So that's why we're here, and I think that the folks who realize, you know, I don't have to do this alone, they're going to be the people who are going to rocket to success with